My name is Chim, the recovering asshole.
Okay.
That actually sounded wrong. No, I am a former bad boy. That's much better. No, you get what I mean. Like, I'm trying to be a better man.
Okay. He's just chill.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. Yeah. So I wanted us to get on the conversation of I am, because it's been trending on TikTok. So I'm a single mom because I do 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I saw that. I saw the one
Right.
from
So guys have been doing, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Kenyan because I do 1, 2, 3. And because we weren't able to do a TikTok for you, we felt this was a conversation that we need to have here.
Mm.
And we are talking about the misconception that people
Yes,
have on
yes.
single parents, and that is both the mom and the dad, right?
Yes.
So I want you to remove your co-parent hat
Mm-hmm.
and let's look at the single dad
Okay.
that you are
Mm-hmm.
to make it interesting. So we were looking at a survival guide, which has a single mother survival guide. It's going to be much more on the women, but you'll just chip in where you think the men apply as well.
Sour.
Right? So we're looking at the 10 ridiculous misconceptions about single moms. So the first one,
Mm-hmm.
we want to steal other women's husbands.
I've heard that. I have heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard it said about single mothers. About single fathers, not so much.
Mm.
People don't really think like they find out, oh, you're a single father. No.
Mhm.
If anything, they just think, oh, you're a single father. You are a
Yeah.
deadbeat.
Mm,
You get it?
very true.
Yeah.
I think this was also a conversation we had last time when we were having a
Yes.
session with Carol.
Yeah.
And we kept telling her, stop saying hi to your neighbors.
Yes, yeah.
Because that's what comes to mind. But to be very honest, I doubt if we want to steal other women's husbands, actually. We're just out here having fun. If they get to notice, too bad. We hate men. Have you ever been told that you're a single dad because you
No,
hate
I've been
women?
told I shouldn't speak on women or women issues because I am the problem. I am
You're the deadbeat.
the cause of a lot of bitter women
Mm-hmm.
and a deadbeat. That's
Mhm.
what I've been told about. That's what they say
Oh.
about single dads. Yeah. Like for example, if you say, "Oh, yo, like I don't understand why women in Kenya operate this way," it's like, "You wanasema nini na nika deadbeat?" Yeah.
I think the statement I always get is not all men are the same. You can still find someone.
Hey.
So it's not that I hate men, but people feel because of the previous man I dated, I probably do not like men. But to be very honest, I don't play for the other team. I do love men. We are on we are on struggle street and barely keeping it together.
I've heard that said about single women. Not so, the assumption is if you're a single father, it's usually that you left, which means I am the cause again for someone's economic suffering. But at the same time, if I were younger, I think for men it goes with age. This is something that goes very heavily with age. If you're young and you're a single father, where did that be? Like, kosi weni kama kanga tu fulani, ulipata mtoto wa mtu, ukamdanganya, ukampiga dumbo, ukahepa. Because you're struggling. Yeah. When you're older, it's more, this guy has a problem. He's probably a player. He's probably a player. And probably the wife left him. Yeah.
I think they're just probably mean. Because not all don't have money. There's some who have money, but they're just too mean to share that with their children. And that goes to the deadbeat. But when it comes to the women, when you say they barely keep it together, I think for a very responsible single mom, you get to learn. It's a learning process. You're on your own. This is where you need to improve. So at some point, you find that I always talk about finding the balance. You find that balance, and know how to hold things together because you're on your own.
You know,
A
you and Carol
responsible
are
mom.
outliers.
No,
Do you
there
know
are
you
guys
and
that I know.
Carol are
No, I know
outliers?
quite a number. I can actually mention a few.
I know quite a number of single mothers, and I can tell you for free, a lot of them are struggling. A lot of them are struggling. You guys are outliers. This one I'd actually
No.
say it's not exactly a misconception. There's some truth there.
I think we are all struggling at some point.
Well, we are Kenyans.
We
God
don't.
decided to pack all of the problems in Kenya.
We don't. It's not that we're not struggling, but we have come to manage with what we have, and that's the first step to anything. Especially as an individual, whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're in your first job, if you manage with what you have, right?
You are an outlier. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. I'm telling you this. Siju struggled for a very long time.
We did as well. You didn't hear our story?
I did actually. I did. But you see, she is a brilliant girl, lady, and she was able to get to a point where she no longer struggles. My mom also, like when I'm talking about when we weren't talking because I was upset, I felt baby trapped. When I was now proper deadbeat, like I felt baby trapped. My mom stepped in and would send tunes, right? And Siju found a way to elevate. But not everyone elevates. Some people get stuck at that struggle stage. And I understand why. You can imagine going for a job interview, you don't have anyone to take care of your kid. It becomes hectic. So some women actually do get stuck there. Yeah.
So I think one, you just have to be responsible, and that's both for the male and the female, or rather the single moms and dads. You just need to be responsible and then work around what you have. And I always say, I'm not that type of person who would come and tell you as the dad to the children, I want to take the children to a school that you can't afford. It has to be, you have to be responsible enough to say, okay, this is how much are we looking at? If I really want them to get to a certain school quality of education, probably I need to top up, not to come and enforce it to you. And that's how we drive the mental health conversation amongst couples.
Okay.
Both for the deadbeat or the single dad.
Deadbeat men need mental health. Apana? No. You can't afford to take care of your child, yo.
No, they can't. There's some who can afford, but they just choose not to.
That's the person you want to look for mental health for.
No. As in, that's where mental health comes. As in, you're adding to that. If today Siju comes and tells you, I want to take the kids to more expensive school, and you still have to be the one paying the school fees, you have an option of saying no or yes. If you say no, and probably Siju doesn't, it is not really dependent on that. She doesn't want to allow you to make that decision. She's already stuck on, we still need to take the kids to the school. Then she takes the kids to the school. You still have to be the one to pay the school fees. What happens to you?
Okay.
Right? So I think one you have, both of you have to be very responsible in terms of making decisions. And then number two, what do we have that we feel can accommodate everyone?
I can see that perspective, yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are the things that throw people off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that perspective.
So I think we all struggle, but with time we should find our balance. The other one is our children are worse off.
Worse off in what regard?
As in, if the child is not good, or in the future doesn't look brighter, it's because they came from a single parent household.
Statistically speaking, there's data to back that. It's not an assumption. There's actually data to back it. And this is one situation that favors single dads.
How?
Single fathers statistically have been proven to bring about children who stand about the same odds as children from two-parent households to be successful. Single dads, yeah.
I don't know where you find that stats, but
it's from the U.S. government two things: government and CIA and prison statistics, prison data.
But is it always kids from single mom that get that, or also children from single dads?
So children from single dads have different problems. For example, if you're raising a daughter from daughter is being raised by a single father, that connection, understanding the emotional aspect. I mean, there's only so much a man can do. But what a man does is he introduces discipline. Ideally, I'm not sure about like, useless guys. I'm sure about like a responsible single dad. That is a statistic that actually, like, it bears out the argument that perhaps children will be. You know what? We'll have this conversation on a different day before I go too deep into data and stuff. Actually, director, we will have the screen grab of those studies at this point. There are several.
Please share.
And they're fascinating.
But I still feel we'll have the link. I still feel that's not the reason as to why. The stats could be there, could show that, but I don't think most times it's because they come from a single parent household. I think it's more of how you bring up your children as a couple or a single parent, and what you expose your children to, and how they choose to grow after that.
Well,
I'm from a single parent.
I am about to become
you are, but hey, where?
But actually, let me tell you, I show hallmarks of a man who was raised in a single mother household, such as what? Impulse control issues, which would explain the anger management problems, which would explain the spending habits, the very risky spending habits. I also have a very huge risk appetite, some of which would not make sense to you. At the same time, my selfishness is also a hallmark of being raised by a single mother. Why? Because as a mother, you learn, I need to have as much as I can for me and mine, right? So they say the road to hell is paved with the best of intentions. You are doing what is best for the kids, but what are the kids watching? For example, Zola, I have a friend called Zola who usually tells me, you'll see, for him when he was growing up, they'd go to parties, and his mother would be the only one who is like, has gone with containers, like bring, right? And everyone else would look at them askance, like, okay, I mean, and you learn that shamelessness that is born of selfishness, because I need to address my immediate issues, right? That your child does not understand the logic behind why you're doing what you're doing. All they see is you just doing the whole me. And that is how it manifests. Another case would be of men raised in single mother households is an issue with authority. Growing up, I had a very big problem with authority. As a man, I had a very big problem with authority because I never had the authority of my father above me telling me, listen, we will not do this, we will not do that, and I'd have to listen. My mother was a feminist by the way. My mom used to argue with, feminists are anti-establishment. And that is something that I never understood why. Because you see, for her, it's, why are you telling me I can't do this just because I'm a woman? Right? Which makes sense. Equal opportunity. Anytime, any day, equal opportunity. Right? That's not what I'm internalizing. I'm internalizing speak back. Because I'm a child, I don't really understand what's happening. I'm just internalizing. Speak back. Yet there are times where, and as I grow older, one of the things I'm learning is sometimes silence or just sing a quick poly.
It's okay.
It solves so many problems. The Bible says a quick apology, a soft word softens even the hardest of hearts. There's a verse like that. But anyway.
Still, what I'm hearing you say is still going back to the upbringing of the child. It still goes back to the upbringing of the child, because as much as you're saying that, we had Solo come and tell his story, and he was raised by a single mom, right? And look at the man he's become to be.
So for those of you who are new to the podcast, Karibuni, I guess we'll also have a link of that particular episode where it was 3 men discussing their journeys, having been raised by single mothers. And I like that you mentioned Solo because it actually emphasizes what I'm saying. What Solo said was he, unlike the two other men, unlike the other the other 2 men, Zola and myself, Solo had a very present, very active grandfather who stepped into the role of the father. Zola had that until his grandfather died, and then things sort of meandered. I never really had that. So I took pride in I was a rebel without a cause. I just wanted to cause chaos. So, I mean.
But still, it still goes back to that bringing, because, and it's upbringing is not just for a single parent, it's for both parents. So if it's done correctly, you do your best, and then now it's up to the child to decide. Now it moves from the upbringing to an individual, deciding how do you want, or who do you want to be when you grow up.
That we are agreed.
Because certain choices, you actually, probably your life took a bad turn out of the choices you made as Chim.
I don't blame it. Yeah, I don't blame it when I take.
And that's what I'm saying. It's from that brain, and then it moves to an individual, how you want to bring up yourself. Because we, as parents, we can't always be there. So yes, your stats are there, but we need to relook. Children are deprived. Are children deprived, really? My kids are not deprived, to be very honest. Okay, apart from the one figure.
Of love.
But no, I think there are men in my life who come to my rescue when I need them to have conversations with the boys. So I don't think they're really deprived.
With single fathers in the earlier stages, yeah, their assumption is that they'll be deprived of the whole nurturing, motherly touch. That is do you call that stereotype that guys have about single fathers?
Okay. So the next one, our sole mission is to find a new man.
I've had that one too.
We're always looking for a man.
No, I've had it said about single mothers. For single dads, it's that we are looking for someone to lie to. We are looking to create more single moms. That's the assumption now.
Yeah, very true. But I feel it's there, and it's very true. When you're the early stages of being a single parent, you're always looking for a man to take you in with your child. You're always looking for a man to take care of you, because you've realized I cannot take care of the children on my own. But as you grow up, you realize I can actually do this. I actually just need someone to love me for who I am. And I think it gets, because the conversation I've been having with people, and these are older people, and they keep telling me, like, I have a friend of mine who has a daughter, and the daughter just got a grandkid, so she's also an older daughter. And now the grandchild is the one who stays with her. And she's getting old. And she always tells me, the question people ask is, now what happens when your grandson leaves the house? Because you used to stay with your daughter. She left. Now you're staying with your grandson. He will leave. What happens to you? And that's when now she feels not the need. She would want a man to stay with. So it moves from becoming a need to a want. If I do not, it is fine. No.
We both have a need to be together. Like, literally, we are better together.
No. There's I need a man, and there's I want a man. Like, he's not really the reason as to why my life will not move. And he's the reason as to why my life will move. Those are two different things. I want a man because I'm at a space where I need some love. I need a man because I need half of the rent paid. Are you getting me?
I'm understanding. So one comes from a need for the resources, the other comes from a need for companionship.
No. As a single parent, if you decide to stay for long, I moved from a need to a want. At some point, I needed a man.
Yeah, need for companionship.
Yes, and everything else, it's just not the companionship. And right now, I'd want for companionship.
I don't think you have a need for the resources. which is why you're
No,
not
and that's what I'm
desperate.
saying for a new single mom.
Oh, okay.
You start off from a need, and then you get to a one like I just need someone to
So it's
to
the
grow
need for
old with.
resources, then it transitions into I've got this covered.
Yeah, so I just want a man. Yeah, as in I would not break my back to go out and look for a man. Most of the time, you'd actually find me at home sleeping or watching a movie because I don't really need to go out there. And
You're a homebody.
hey, super.
Like my wife.
As in, I don't mind. I used to go out,
Mm.
but I just realized
I'm at home
love.
from.
And nowadays, I don't have the kids over the weekend.
Ah, okay.
So,
Which should not mean that you're.
you know,
Ah.
I leave work, and if I have to meet someone, I'd meet that person and probably be home at 10. And I'm okay staying home. When I'm exhausted, I'll just shower and sleep. If I think I want to have a movie, I'd watch a movie and probably have a drink, and then go and sleep.
Ah.
Yeah. So I think it's that curve. So you get confused that you're in that position. You need someone to fill that gap. With time, you come to realize, well, I don't really need a man, and then you can do it on your own. And then it gets to a point where now you see the future and realize, gosh, hapa ni kuzeeka peke yangu. So you might consider having, and that's why I always have conversation with my single friends, and I tell them, by the way, tukifika 50 and you haven't gotten someone, imagine let's move in. Let's take care of
You know,
each
that
other.
idea of a commune has actually been tried in America and it failed. It actually failed miserably. The reason I keep using American examples is because Kenyans we aren't really the best at keeping this data.
Yeah.
But the idea of an all-female commune has been tried out before and it failed. Too much
What do you mean female
neuroticism.
commune? What do you mean female commune?
Where a group of women say, look, we are 40, we are 50, we are 60.
Me, I'm not talking about another female.
Oh, I misunderstood you. Cancel everything I said.
No.
I misunderstood
As
you.
in, I'm just talking to a team who's single and we've been friends for the longest time. Let's move in and take care of each other.
Oh, so like, in case he gets an itch, you scratch it. If you get an itch, he scratches it.
Okay. If you're very old, seriously, isn't there things? And if it gets there, we can always have a discussion. But I just think it gets to a point where you just need someone home to go home to.
Yes, I'm
grow old with.
I'm in complete agreement with you.
And then there's a friend of mine who always says we'll meet at the elderly people's home.
Oh, I pray you don't end up in an old people's home in Kenya. You've seen the reports of how Wanatandikwa. They're brutal in Kenya.
We might just start another one.
Yeah, now that, yeah.
Yeah. The next one, we don't have a life.
But you just said you don't. You just said you stay home and watch movies.
Please.
You just said you stay home and watch movies.
No. Don't get me wrong. I don't. People need to understand. I would not mind sitting home and resting and doing any other thing at home rather than going out to the loud music. I go out of town with my friends. I choose to park and go to Mombasa for a weekend.
Oh, okay.
I can decide I want to go visit a friend of mine and do a sleepover. Because having a life does not mean me going out. Actually, I don't like places with so loud music. If I can't have a conversation with you, I'd rather tell you, let's do coffee at a restaurant. Let's catch up and then I'll go home. Like, I don't need to go out. So in terms of us talking about having a life, what does having a life really mean for you?
Like you, I also have gotten tired of the loud music, the same scene. Unlike most Kenyans, I go out I still will visit those places once in a while to see where I stack up on the totem pole of looks. I told you I'm very. I confess. I told you I'm very self-driven. Like, I literally go out to say, okay, so how do I stack up? Am I still the big DILF, or is there a bigger DILF around here? Oh, no. Okay, I can go home. I'm happy. I'm content. But in terms of what I really enjoy doing, having my friends over, we do a barbecue.
Yeah.
That's that.
And you're still having your social life, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's enough.
Mm.
And I think also
I
that
thought you meant like your social life was just watching a movie and sleep. But
I
you
no 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 no
acquitted
no no
yourself
no
really
no
well.
no. Yeah, I actually I have fun now that the kids are older.
Mm.
When they were younger, I used to be home a lot. And that's why I say it's just like life, it has phases.
Also,
When you
could it
start
be
off, you're in-house.
when the kids are younger, you have to be home? So it's almost like
Not really.
have to.
It's a choice you make. They don't you assume they don't know anything. So I can actually go out, they won't care. But what I used to do was I'd come home, and I think I said it earlier on. If I need to go out, I'd come home, put them to bed, and then go out and be back before they wake up. Yes. But right now, I can actually go wherever I'm going and then come back whatever time I want to come
I've
back.
done that once before when I had the kids. Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we do
I
have.
didn't enjoy myself the whole time. The worst of the worst scenarios were playing in the back of my mind. So yeah, that wasn't. I really didn't enjoy myself.
This is a conversation we need to have with Siju. They don't know how we do it. I swear they always ask, so how do you do it? I imagine we just manage.
Isn't that question asked more of single dads because the assumption is
you dads
no,
have
let me
someone to
explain.
support.
No, let me explain. But the assumption is usually that you don't know what you're doing. So even people stepping sometimes is overstepping your boundaries because in my experience, I have a system with my children. And someone will find me with my kids and want to immediately just sort of append the system I have with and I have to have a system, just to explain, because my son is autistic and he thrives off of patterns. We do this at this time because we do this at home. At this time, we are doing this. And by this time, we're done. Right? So guys will want to inject themselves in my scenario and be like, you know what? You shouldn't do it like this. This is wrong. Do it like this. I know better than you. Why do you know better than me? Because I'm a woman. Actually, that's usually the assumption.
I think when someone would ask me, so how do you do it? It's the same question me asking you, so how do you live? It's the same thing. Like you don't have an option. So you have to, you're either dead or you're alive. If you're alive, you don't have an option. You have to leave. Right? So it's the same as asking a single parent, so how do you do it? Imagine it's just like any other mother who has a partner in the house. They still have to push on, right? Cool. The next question. Everyone can relate to your situation, to our situation.
Can they?
I think this is where they say you do something and they tell you, oh, sorry, I actually understand. You don't understand. You do not understand why. I told you about Aka X. You don't understand why I need to leave your place.
Jesus Christ, Aka X. When you're talking about him, you are in love.
I am. I actually love the guy.
I'm a poor Aka X. Jesus Christ.
Okay. An ex of mine.
Thank you.
You don't understand that I need to leave your place early for me to get home before my kids waking up. You do not understand why I probably cannot afford going out every weekend because most of my money really goes to so much as in the household. Yes. And I cannot forgo my house expenses to go out. You don't understand why I can't introduce you to my children until I'm very sure that you are worth being introduced to my children. So I think those are the things that, as much as I'm the same with other married women who have children, there are things you will not understand and certain decisions that single moms make that people actually don't understand why they actually do it. And that's why I always say, if you're not able to respect a single mom, and it starts from the little things that they do, imagine, don't date a single mom. Yeah, you need to put yourself in their shoes and be empathetic. Let's not pretend we're very sympathetic about it.
I don't think I have much about that as a symbol. Like, I do. Actually, I do. The assumption that now this is more co-parenting. The assumption that because I'm not going home to my children, it's something that it's a freedom I enjoy or want to take advantage of without realizing actually I would much rather have my children under my roof 24/7. So, for example, guys will be, this is an example, guys will be out and it's like, yo, I want to wrap up early today. I want to go home and I don't want my kiddo to call me uncle. Lakini wewe uelewe ijue na wewe ni freedom tu. Sherehe. Tafuta mwingine pia huyo mpatie mimba utoroke. That's actually a conversation I've had. That's actually a conversation I've had. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'd prefer to have my kids under my roof. You know? Like I actually miss them.
Yeah. And also I like us understanding each other when there are times we need to do a shoot. And I think you've noticed at times Tim is not there or one of us is not there. It's because they had to attend to the children.
Yes.
Or also I can make it the time of the shoot because I have to do something for the children or I have to do something for myself because I know if I don't do it then
you might not get another chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're very
it weighs much heavier on you guys because I get to run my errands on maybe Friday.
During the
mine
weekday
is more on when I have the kids. I have to guard that time jealously because I have a finite amount of hours. Yeah.
Single mothers raise criminals.
This is where we'll have that the screen grab flashing.
No comment.
Well,
don't go to the stats. Don't go to the stats because I feel a criminal can come from whichever household. And I always tell mothers, and this was a conversation I had with my sister the other day, and I was telling her, when someone comes and says, you know, your child is very naughty. No, let me look for another word. Your child doesn't pay attention to school. He will not be very successful in future. Pushback because as a parent, you're the one who's meant to be protecting that child. You're the one to tell the other person who actually said it that no, my child, my son or my daughter will be successful in future, because we let people talk to us and talk down on our children, and we're the ones who are meant to be protecting them. So if you let it slide, you will come to remember that statement in the future when your child doesn't do. Because I always say, if someone says something and you own it, it might come true. So criminals can come from wherever. As parents, we need to always push back on statements that might affect your child in the present or in the future. At times, our children are there and they're listening to these comments from our other friends or relatives, and I'm so sure some children cannot even respond to them because we already say we instill as in ways of how they can communicate to the relatives in terms of do not talk back. So they are expecting you as a parent to talk back on their behalf and push it out of the way. And I remember this is the same statement my mom had with another uncle of mine. And when she said it, she told my uncle, because they were driving into town, and she told him stop the car. And she alighted and she said, my children will not do that. And she started walking. And this is one thing I've learned from my mom. Always be ready to protect your children from what people say, from what people do. That way they're able to look up to you and know you would always be there for them. So even in terms of criminals, they can come from everywhere. But I think it starts with us as parents to just pray for this. And I always say, upande wa watoto, it didn't come with a manual, but what we're trying to say is you believe and hope for the best.
I have a very
You're always
My
having
approach is diametrically opposed to yours. Mine is this: if someone were to tell me, "Listen, your child is statistically more likely to become a criminal than the other," my response is not to be. I won't get defensive. I do agree with you that you need to push your children need to see you defend
Yeah.
them. But my approach is usually more like, yeah, well, statistically accurate, logically sound. However, I'm doing my best, and I know my children, they have everything within them that they need to become successful, and I'm helping them attain that, rather than making it more about, you.
You
It's
see why I always
mine is
say you
not
need
ad
to move
hominem.
away from your stats.
No, let me explain. It's not ad hominem, because this person, what they're saying is statistically sound, it's logically sound. But I'm saying I'm in their life to do my best to make sure that they don't end up in that direction. Um, when we say something like, when we talk about, oh, sorry, there's something that you had mentioned about criminals. Criminality is either innate, economical, or from peer pressure. What do I mean? There are some guys who are born criminals. There are psychopaths who are just criminally psychopathic. It's in them. From the day they were born to the day they die, they are going to be harmful to society. Just the same way that there are psychopaths who are not harmful. There are actually psychopaths that we walk around with and you wouldn't really know, because he doesn't look like he fits in one of your true crime series. He's a psychopath, yes. He doesn't care about you, doesn't know how to mirror emotion, but he just is. He's not looking to harm you, right? Equally, when it comes to the economical aspect, it's usually because the reason why guys will tell you single mothers are more likely to raise criminals is from the economic aspect, because single mother households statistically earn far less than two parent households and single father households. So the ideal is two parent household have the most income, single father household follows with a higher income median, and then single mother household. Usually, single mother household, you'll find the truth is, we're a third world country. A lot of us, probably, if we're very honest, we would be able to say that you can recall instances where your mother might have had to do something in order to put food on the table. That's just the reality of it. Same way, in because we're a third world country, shithole, in two parent households that are like economically underprivileged, you'll find your father had to do something, pick up something to be able to put food on the table for his children. So there's the economic aspect. Then the last one would be peer pressure. And that one, I probably am I thank God every day. I thank, you guys have no idea, I thank God every single day that I was never around people who are criminally minded, because when I was young, I was very susceptible to peer pressure. And had I gotten in with a criminal element, I would probably have been peer pressured into that direction. So I sit here not because necessarily I am a testament of anything. I'm just lack of the draw. I was not around guys when I was still impressionable. I was not around those guys. That's it. That's how criminality works.
One question.
Sure.
Are leaders born or met?
It's innate. Your leadership is innate. However, you can mold a leader. What do I mean? You do know you can throw a bunch of children into the wild to become feral children. They will not have a concept of leadership, but one of them will eventually stand up to take the responsibility of leadership and taking care of the others.
Mm-hmm.
The same way, your children see mom doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of them is going to watch that and say,
mm-hmm. I'd want to do the same.
Exactly. While there's another who will say, I want to be comfortable with a caretaker.
True.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is innate, but at the same time, the innate leaders are very, very few,
Mm-hmm.
far between. But the ones who learn through socialization are usually more.
So what we're saying is it's a choice for one to be a leader or not.
Socialization.
What?
If, for example, I were not a leader and my kid's mother is not a leader, we are followers, the children will largely grow up. The odds are high that they'll grow up wanting to be followers. But if I'm not a leader and their mother's a leader, then they might see that and be like, I'll pick up on that. Because you're socializing your children, for example,
Mm-hmm.
to take responsibility. I remember I said this previously, that I respect you because I said, you remember my mother, you are a no-nonsense individual. Same thing with Seju, she's a no-nonsense individual. Same thing with my wife, actually, shockingly, no-nonsense individual, holds me to my shit, right? Now, imagine a situation where your children are learning to take accountability, because that's what's happening. They see you take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not leadership? That's one of the aspects of leadership, where you take accountability, and they learn by watching.
Okay.
What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Are leaders born or made?
I think leaders works both ways for me, because there are those who are born with those skills in them, and that's why you'd find some children are more vocal compared to the others. But then again, even the quiet ones, with time, they get to become leaders in their own spaces, right? Same thing, what I'm talking about, the criminals. It still goes back there. And I always say in life, I believe in life, it's just about the choices you make. Today, if you decide to wake up early, you might get something good. You might decide not to wake up early, and probably you still get something good out of it.
How about this situation? You have a child who does not have food, but they see the opportunity to take something and be able to feed themselves. Isn't that not criminal behavior?
So when it comes, and that's why we always ask ourselves, what age was that child? Right? That's the first question. Even the court would ask, how old was that child? Because the example you're giving, I'm looking at a child who really wanted to eat.
We're looking at, they have already understood the concept of right or wrong, which happens at about what, the age of, is it 12? I'm not sure, please don't quote me. I'm just pulling back from memory of, Siju had me read a lot of.
So other than asking, they just went and picked.
Our 15-year-old is hungry. They know they need to eat. They're starving. They see an opportunity.
It's actually been a criminal.
That's why I said it's criminal behavior, right? But they have been thrust in that situation by their circumstance. So then we begin to look at it and ask ourselves, okay, so is the child actually, like, do they have that innately in them, or were they forced by their socioeconomic position? That's why I said there are criminals who are born innate. That's like the guys who have been, the guy who changed, we won't go into that, but the guy who changed, when you hear the nature of certain crimes, even you're like, yo, there's no way a normal human being did this, right? Then there are those ones who it was born out of necessity.
I still feel, even if you're talking about a child who knows what is right and what is wrong, they had a choice. Either ask for that food from that person or take it and run. Still goes back to something, as in we always learn here. It has nothing to, as in I was born with this thing in me that would make me be a criminal.
No, we do know that there are people who are born. So, do you know some of the hallmarks of a sociopath? Psychopath, not sociopath, psychopath. Sociopath are the ones who are, it's bred into them maybe through an abusive upbringing. Psychopath,
which is still here on earth.
Yes. Do you know we detect this from when they're children, not from when they're adults. That's why when you look at the history, you look at what are some of the hallmarks.
Based on the external factors?
Arson? No. Arson. Arson is I just like setting things on fire. Then there is, that's not external. That is innate. Because for you, that's not normal. You don't necessarily like setting things on fire and watching them burn. Animal cruelty. Animal cruelty. Okay, yeah. Then there is an interesting one, was bedwetting. Actually, psychopaths usually tend to wet their bed till very late in life. So when you have such it's called antisocial personality behaviors in minors, then you're able to look and say, okay, this is going to be a bad seed. This is probably going to be a bad seed.
I think we'll have this conversation some other day. But I think that's what we were looking at, the misconception that people have on especially the single moms. And so that's it. We just decided to have a lighter conversation today.
This was meant to be light. Why was I not told?
This was a light conversation. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, follow us on our Instagram page. We really need to build that number.
Yes, please.
And also let us know if you'd want to come and share the couch with us.
Actually,
With Chim.
yeah, come through. Let's chill, let's talk, let's share ideas.
And say
Also,
hi to
please
Sid.
don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.